thought it was time to share an update on how things are going with my 75 Gold Wing project. I'm considering the restoration complete. I ended up finding a few things that I needed. I shouldn't say finding, I should say borrowing from my other two Gold Wings. Because this one is so clean, so fresh, I decided I'm going to take a couple of the parts I needed from my other bikes and move them to this one. And I think I have a nicely finished product here. So specifically what I needed was, I needed a front fender, because the fender that I had apparently at some point in its life was mounted on some other type of motorcycle. So right here where these mounting brackets are, there was an extra hole on each of these, so 4 extra holes that didn't make any sense. And I grabbed this one off my yellow Gold Wing, and this one's real clean. I probably could use a bit of polish, but it's very solid, very clean, not really any dents or anything. So it looks very suitable on this one and kind of finishes off the front end. And then the other thing I did was, from my blue bike, I borrowed these muffler heat shields. The ones that came with this bike did have a little bit of bubbling in the chrome from rust, and I polished them. They looked pretty good, but the flaws were there, and I just decided, with this bike being so clean, I needed it to be perfect. So these heat shields are really nice. They go well with this bike. I'm gonna keep an eye out on eBay for replacements for all those, so I can spruce up my other bikes as well. But for the time being, I'm happy to have these on this one, and the other bikes are still beautiful, but I've got time. I can make my improvements to those as I want to buy some new parts. One funny thing is, my tach has been very slow to respond ever since I restored it and put it on the bike. I stupidly didn't test it when it was off and when it was disassembled. So between 0 and about 2000 RPM, it was really sluggish. And above 2000, it was good. Well, I haven't ridden this in a couple months, and I was traveling. Today I'm riding it, and the tach works perfectly. So we'll see if that sticks. I'm happy to see that. I was expecting to have to take the tach apart again this winter, and that's a pain if anyone hasn't done it. There's a chrome crimp ring here that you have to pry open carefully, separate the two halves of the body, and then crimp it back down when you're done. So if I could avoid that, I'm gonna be thrilled. So other than those items that I needed to do, I am pretty happy with it. I will say it's not running exactly perfectly. I'm getting a little bit of a rough idle and a little bit jerky on and off throttle. I've resynced the carbs, they're fine. And I ended up ordering a Dyna ignition solid state to replace the points. I suspect I'm just not getting the points adjusted exactly right. So I'm gonna put the Dyna ignition in. I've done that on a couple other Gold Wings, and what a difference it makes in how it runs. I am not an expert. I am clumsy tuning points. So I'm gonna go to the solid state ignition and hopefully never need to mess with it again. But otherwise, everything else works incredibly well. Suspension, brakes, everything feels really, really nice. I've had it up to about 75 miles an hour. Totally stable, smooth, refined like you would expect. It's just idle and the off and on throttle that seems a little bit lurchy. And I think I can fix that with the Dyna ignition. The other thing I did, which you may have noticed as I'm walking around the bike, I'm missing my horn, and that's because the thermal switch that's right in there must have gone bad. It was not triggering the cooling fan. So a few days ago I swapped in a new thermal switch, and I wanted to leave the the horn out of the way just to make sure I don't see any leaks. There's some dried coolant here from when I did the swap, but it's not leaking. So when I get home, I'm gonna throw the horn back on, and that's what these wires are for, and we'll be all done. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions about it, wanted to see anything else. I'm happy to show it off. I'm very proud of this one. Very proud of how it came out. I was actually supposed to enter it in a motorcycle show today, and right now it's very dry. And the sky is clearing up, but it was raining overnight, and the roads were too sloppy this morning. I didn't want to ride this on wet roads. And I have an open trailer, but that would have just put spray all over the bike, so I wasn't willing to do that. Next time, I'll enter it. Maybe I'll win something. So that's it. I'm gonna get back on the road and enjoy this thing.